Welcome everybody to this week's Dynasty Global podcast. I'm
Episode 4.
Thymine, and you're here with Fatty. What are we talking about today, Fatty?
Oh yeah. What are we talking about today? Well, the first thing is I managed to get into the final CBT, which lasted for a couple days. And we found out some interesting stuff in there that we that we had tested. Might come as a surprising news to people who weren't paying attention the past few days, but the trapper hunters actually got hard nerfed. And I'm talking about like 50% less damage, like type of nerf.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of it was because of that sentimental ring bug, apparently, that it was. Plus the fact that they actually changed or actually reverted back the damage calculation for traps back to how it is in NA and Korea. Yeah, that one was comes a bit of a surprise because, like, I mean we know, right? Like, we've seen it in NA. Like, snipers don't really translate all that well later into the game.
Specifically trap.
Yeah. So it's a bit weird, seeing as like they finally get like a bit of like at least like a slight early mid game buff, and then it's just gone. It's just like that. Like, they're not even like the funny part is, like, it's not even like trapper hunters were the best grinders, which is like the major thing about like trapper hunters being that strong, was that they grinded really well. But the thing is, like, they were actually beat up by ME priests and wizards. Yeah. So the nerf kind of like just didn't make sense to me. Like, yeah, sure, they were kind of meta in the 40v40s early, they got the most kills and everything, but at the same time, it's like, it's short-lived. Like, that will not work later on, right? So what are your thoughts on the hard nerf to trapper hunters, Thai?
Well, I guess you have to consider, like, things like this happen when there's like a closed beta. Like, you never know what the final equations will be at the end, because they can fix or change things. And like you said, it was like a bug to the safety ring, right? So if it was a bug, it kind of makes sense that they would try to fix it eventually. So
yeah. So the other thing too is, like, if let's say that they did end up fixing the bug to the sentimental ring, what didn't make sense was that they reverted the damage calculation to a previous version, which made it like less stronger. So yeah, definitely fixing the bug made sense, but the damage calculation reversion is a little, it
is an interesting choice because, like we've mentioned before, in global, a lot of the monster HP is pretty like tanky compared to NA.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting choice that they changed it
and nerfed it, which doesn't make quite a lot of sense. But at the same time, I'm not the part of the balance team. I am just a bit more curious to. It would be good to have a bit of like explanation when it comes to like these nerfs and these buffs that certain classes get. Like, for example, right? Like, if you read like patch notes in a game, like, let's say like League of Legends, right? Like, League of Legends, every time they release a patch note, if a champion or an item gets nerfed or buffed, they kind of like give you a bit of an explanation with like with the rationale behind why the changes were made. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
so it would be interesting, like, to hear like what their thought process was behind that.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a bit confusing. A bit too much of a nerf, in my opinion. Yeah. And also the other thing too is that we probably forgot to mention in the past podcast was that War of Imperium is actually not implemented at the moment in Taiwan. It's unknown if it's just like broken or bugged.
Mm-hmm.
It could potentially just be. It could actually. Somebody mentioned that it was actually going to be like a revamp. They're actually going to
Oh.
make it better. I just don't know how. We probably won't have to wait as long as Taiwan because they started fixing it in Taiwan way before
Mm-mm.
global started. So I just hope we don't have another situation where
Or we had to like wait months for
we,
it to open
yeah,
up.
in NA we had to wait. It was already ready. Like there were no changes being made, but we had to wait like 4 months.
Yeah, we had to wait for like, I guess like the progression of patches for
Yeah,
it to even open up. And at that point, it was too long of a wait that a lot of people ended up quitting before War of Imperium even came out.
yeah. So the problem with that was that like a lot of people, it's I mean like when you think of Ragnarok Online, like PvP, the first thing you probably think about is War of Imperium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and anybody who has played RO before probably remembers that as well.
Yeah.
And waiting 4 months, yeah, you have to realize like I think Dynasty was like 90% priests when the game first started, and when War of Imperium came, I think we were down to like
Oh yeah.
15% priests, which put a
Yeah, we
lot of
were. Yeah,
yeah.
we were struggling with the priest.
Yeah, which put a lot of strain on like full supports like you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like felt a lot of definitely a lot of heavy load because I had to make sure I was there for like every like guild versus guild and whoa.
hmm
Just because like we didn't have that many priests after.
yeah. So how did that pressure feel? Like to
So it
you?
was really stressful. Because it's like the game is already pretty demanding and then like
hmm
um because everyone's like busy with other things in life. So having
Yeah,
to like make time and make sure that I'm on for like the guild events. So I wouldn't let the guild down, because we didn't have a large amount of priests. It
yeah.
was really stressful.
It was really stressed. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's my
No, it
that's
is
my
what it
fault.
is.
I was like, I need you.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And it's like, yeah, I wanted to help the guild, so I tried. But yeah, it definitely was very straining.
Yeah. And well, the thing was like every single time I actually when I invited before I invited you to join global with me, I was already like worried. I was like, oh god, let's like if I ask Thai right now, she's probably gonna have like PTSD of like how hectic it was when for her in NA. She's probably not gonna come. I was like, you know what? Let's just do it anyway because I love playing with you, and it's just like I'll ask her if she wants to, and it just turns out that you actually were
Yeah, I was considering it because I heard about
already
it.
playing it with the
Hmm.
PC client, which was the make
Hmm.
or break feature for you.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't mind because I did miss playing with Dynasty because yeah, Dynasty merged, and at that point, like because of because of like having to like be there for every guild events.
hmm
After we merged with Panda, I kind of did like take a bit of a break, so it wasn't. It was kind of like a breather for me.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, but I have hope for global. A lot of people seem to wanting to join and play, so I'm sure we'll have more priests than we did
yeah,
by the
yeah,
time War of Imperium popped up on NA.
yeah.
So
So
I'm hopeful.
the thing about that is it's like when a lot of people actually like with our current members right now for global, there were a lot of people who are going priests. So there were actually people that were saying, I was like, wow, it looks like we're gonna have so many priests, and I had to shut that down immediately. I was like, there's no such thing as having too many priests or a lot of
Right.
priests because we need these three. Like I think people tend to like underestimate the importance of having a lot of priests. It's like first of all, think of it this way, right? If you're doing any type of like GVG, a lot of the GVG content in this game um makes it so when you die, you don't really get respawned right away. Like in most games, like you don't get respawned to like the starting point or whatever. You actually like are there until you reset. So if you
Mhm.
have priests, you actually have a lot of people that can just like insta res you and then like bring you up,
Yeah.
and now you're back in the fight again and not have to like walk back the whole time. So having a lot of priests, whether it's ME priests or it's like full support priests, is actually very crucial because then just have such an easy time of having uptime
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's good to have lots of priests because sometimes with the cast time delay too, or the world delay,
Yeah.
you know, a priest will probably be rezzing someone else and you're still waiting there. But the more priests you have on your side, then the quicker people can get back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of times it's like a lot of these fights are decided like, you know, when the other side has lost like so many priests, and you no longer have enough priests to res the rest of your stack, and if that when that happens, that's, you know, that's when you consider it like a full wipe technically.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so there's no such thing as having too many priests. Have as many priests as possible. They can do everything. They can full support. They can, you know, they can be your AoE, be your DPS. They can even be your single target DPS if need be with like Judex, although I don't recommend it. And you know, they can even be your breakers if they have like a battle priest spec. So
Always a good thing.
yeah, yeah. Even if it's like a bunch of free to play priests, it doesn't matter. They're such a crucial class that it
Hmm.
doesn't matter like what your investment is. You'll always be relevant because you just have a skill set that no other class will have until like bards are like out or something.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So free to play priests is like and whales will actually take free to play priests on their runs, just because like they, you know, a lot of the times like free to play or like full support priests are so scarce and they're not so readily available that it's like, yeah, I need you on my run. It's like, and you
Yeah.
can kind of like enjoy the free carry that way.
Yeah, you
Um,
can definitely play free to. I played mostly free to play. Like I spent a little bit, not so much on like leveling up gear and stuff, but my priest on NA is basically free to play, so
yeah,
you can definitely level up free to play easily and be brought to parties. Like you just need as long as you're proficient and killing it and doing your job, then people are usually don't care about bringing free to play.
yeah. And a lot of the biggest difference too when it comes to priests, unless like it's a situation where you're getting one shot, right? And that's really where
Mhm.
you get like gear checked. But a lot of the
Yeah.
situations with priests, it's like usually it's like the difference between a full support that knows what to do and knows what they're doing versus even like a mid, let's say like a mid spender full support priest that doesn't know what they're doing is probably like the most stressful thing ever, because you really will visibly just see like the like the veins on your forehead like start to pop out when your full support keeps like messing up like a mechanic or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, because like it's okay if like your other DPSs like die, they could get res, but once your priest dies, it's over.
Yeah, you have to reset basically.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's just one of the things that I wanted to ask you. It's like just share your perspective as like a priest in like GVG stuff. So let's say like um we discussed like War of Imperium, right? Is like
Hmm.
how that was like such high pressure for you, because like yeah, you were one of the most active priests, or actually the most active priests that was there for like every single event. And what about like for example like 40v40? Like how was that experiencing as a full support?
Um, 40 versus 40. Well, I was usually on map 2 because, my chill life.
Mm-hmm.
my
Actually,
my
yeah, yeah.
break after the stress. But
Good, good thing. I
yeah,
wanted to ask you about that because I've never been to map 2. I've always been map 1.
mhm.
How is, can you describe to me like the dynamic and like the mechanics of like map 2?
Yeah, so map 2 basically you're just there to defeat the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll pull up a thing on here for us too, and I'll send it to you right now so you can kind of like point it out on your end. There you go, and I'll pull it up on stream right now
okay.
as well, so people can kind of see what map 2 for 40v40 Guild League, by the way, is 40v40
Okay.
for everybody to use. So describe to me like what is this like mess that I see here for map 2? Like what is
Okay,
that?
so map 2, there are certain places where monsters will spawn, so the middle, the four corners. And basically you want to get as many as those monsters for your side.
Mhm.
You know, like most of them killed, but in between that, it's obviously guild versus guild. So
Mhm.
the other guild can come in and like, you know, mess things up for you, and it's basically you guys battling to get those monsters and the points for your team.
Mhm.
So whichever side is doing better on map 2, I hear that it buffs map 1, so it's really
Yeah.
crucial. Like even if you're map 2, it's still crucial for the grander scheme of 40 versus 40.
Yeah, so it's a lot of. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of mobs here, and are there bosses as well?
Yes, there will be bosses that spawn periodically.
Yeah.
And basically, like people, like it's a quite a bit in between monster spawns, so people will run around and like, you know, pick fights with the other guilds.
Mm-hmm.
So and then after that, like you're just fighting for the monsters.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so you know, just a bit of a preview for people who are curious about like if you're, especially if you're not expecting to be in the main 40 squad of your 40-40 in Guild League, you know, that at the very least you know now that like you have a role to play in map 2, and depending on how well you guys the rest of your guild does in map 2 actually helps your main guild as well. So you know that, and hearing that from the
The main
perspective,
team.
yeah. So yeah, it's like resistances and stuff like that, right? Like really good stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's actually I like it a lot better than War of Imperium.
it is.
Because it's
Oh
like
yeah,
a bit more action packed, I think, because you're constantly like fighting.
yeah, for sure. Because like sometimes War of Imperium, it's rough in War of Imperium because um you a lot of the times if nobody wants to attack you,
Hmm.
you're just sitting there casting AoEs, and you can't let up either because like if a tapper gets through and they tap your Imperium, then obviously you have to be stay there for like another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So like all that
Basically,
is
you have to defend.
yeah. So so 40v40 is good. What about Guild Expedition, the PvE slash PvP mode?
Oh, that was my least favorite. Only because, so like I said, I took a like 2-month break on NE, and then that was when they introduced emblems and stuff. So it took a while to catch up in emblems,
Mhm.
but definitely will never catch up with like mega whales.
Yeah.
So the thing with the guild expeditions or PvP in general in
Mhm.
this version of Rue
Mhm.
is depending on the person's emblem, they can do more or less damage to you. So so on some of the chaotic maps of like everyone going to a certain MVP for the guild expeditions,
Mhm.
if there are a bunch of like whales, like usually if it's the bigger guilds like fighting against each other,
Yeah.
you're basically gonna be trying to run back to monster spawns, but
Mhm.
you're like a lot of times, I will get one shot by like mega
Yeah.
whales.
It's
Despite like being like pretty geared for priests, but yeah.
yeah, it's you step on like a random gravity field from a giga whale, and all of a sudden like you either like get one tick if you haven't been active with your progression. But the thing is like in global everybody starts out from the beginning where there's a bit
Yeah.
of a like like a buffering zone or rather like a buffering uh time between like getting your titles or your emblems up.
Mhm.
Whereas like in NA, it just kind of got dropped on everybody. So if you were free to play, you didn't have that buffer zone. You were kind of just screwed with what you can get every week. Whereas like Wales could already from the get go just outpace you.
Mhm. Also, like, because they dropped it on us like so abruptly, I think it took a while for me to like understand like what was going on.
Yeah,
Like, I didn't even know I can buy like you can buy emblems within the guild vending machine and stuff.
yeah, and they weren't really that good with
Explaining it, yeah.
explaining it or at least like introducing it
Mhm.
to the player base. So yeah, now that like and that information is really crucial for free to play players, right? More than
Yeah,
anything.
because you're free to play, you have to keep up with
Yeah,
all these like weekly things.
yeah,
So you can buy emblems from the guild vending machine. You can get it from doing PvP, the courage shop,
yeah.
and I think the Alphaeum thing, and a few doing guild
Hmm.
events too. You can get them.
Yeah. So yeah, especially as a free to play, if you didn't know that and you weren't min maxing it from the get go, it does bode really horribly for you. But knowing that now, after they just dropped all that content in NA, then it's so much easier compared to before now. It's easy
Mm-hmm.
to keep up now. And shout out to Roboto for chilling with us in the bench, by the way. Pretty sure he's watching the stream. Um, yeah. So favorite 40v40. Second probably is War of Imperium, I would guess, and then worst one is Guild Expedition.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think also with Guild Expedition, even if your guild is like pretty uniform,
Mhm.
sometimes it gets kind of chaotic, like with everyone constantly like getting like one-shotted.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes people won't wait for you to respawn or like res them.
Yeah.
And then some of your team like will go respawn and then they'll try to run back. So then you're all scattered. So it gets kind of chaotic. That's why it's my least favorite, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So and probably another thing, I'm not sure. Well, this one probably is like least favorite too. Dimension battles. Dimension battles is a little rough because it is very well centric of an event. Like you just have the top 5 wells. Like what are you gonna do? It's there's no guild there to back you up or like any type of strategy you could possibly do as a free to play. So that one is a bit like really well centric event. Although whales have been toppled by like mid spenders before, but it does take quite a bit. And there comes the point in that setting where even mid spenders just can't keep up at all. So
Yeah. Eventually, especially with the guild events. Well, with the server being released, there's gonna be the server caps. So at least that will stop people going too far ahead.
Yeah, that's true.
But at some point, because you do the guild events and you can buy like depending on how your guild does, you can like buy emblems or like statue pieces or whatever in the auction. There probably will be some like a gap within the mega whales eventually.
Yeah.
But starting out with the server level cap, it should be so.
Yeah. So we discussed the PvP kind of events that we're looking forward to, especially with the global coming out in, what is it, like two days, no, for us, because it's like 2 days in the evening for us or something like that. Oh god, I'm so hyped, man. I'm so excited for it. But another thing that we noticed too is I'm not sure if you said that NA probably doesn't have this one, right? But just a little bit of a detail here is this new MVP spawn timer, which is like, it's like the most major thing, because like if you're expecting it already, you probably are already like getting in there. But the thing is, like before, to get it down to the very second, we would have to go into the MVP window. Like we would have to we'd have to go to events, and then we'd have to go into like the MVP window, and we'd have to check the timer here in order for it to to make sure that we have it when it spawns. The good thing about this is now we no longer have to do that, and it's just like an overall, I feel like definitely like Route 2.0 has been going into the the quality of life buffs kind of like direction, which is usually one of the healthiest parts of a game's life once they start to do that. And they can usually only start to do that when because usually like if a game does bad or is doing bad and they have less resources from like their developers, they don't have time to create all these like quality of life things. So it's a good sign. It's definitely a good sign if we have this, like these things right here. And we also have Chico in the chat, by the way, who is from Rugpull. What's going on, Chico? And shout outs to Rugpull, by the way. Very huge, very like really organized guild from the Philippines that specifically merged together in order to take on the the Thai and like the Indonesian giants in terms of like guilds. So Also, Chico, if you would like to hop in the Discord and try to like speak in terms of like what rug pull is going to do, or if you could get us in contact with the officers or leads of rug pull, we would love to have them on the podcast. But yeah, if you want to speak a little bit on it, feel free to join discord.gg/dynastygg. And yeah, but anyway, Ty, so besides the quality of life change, we also and we actually saw this in the Taiwan Odin Cup tournament, where they released the sprites for 3-to-1 jobs. So I'm gonna pull it up on screen here right now for everybody to see. There you go. So to the top left here is Archbishop. Middle left here is Warlock. And then the lower left here is the Mechanic. And Thai, what do you want to say which ones those are on the right side?
Oh gosh, let me see. Okay. You know what? The top one, was it Rune Knight?
The middle right is Rune Knight, yes.
Okay. The bottom one is Ranger, and I forgot the top right.
Top right? That is Guillotine Cross.
Okay, yes, that's the name.
Guillotine Cross. But yeah, it's looking pretty impressive so far. This is one of the reasons why Rue is going to be as successful as it is, and has been as successful as it is, regardless of like management, right? Is because look at how close this is. If you guys in the chat, if you guys remember how 3-to-1 jobs looked in RO1, you can absolutely say that like each and every one of these sprites is exactly how it was in RO1. So the good thing about Rue, and what me and Thai have been saying about Rue and why it's so good, is because it's so close to the original RO1.
Yeah.
And, that's honestly, that's all we're looking for. That's all we've been just asking for like so long.
Yeah, not like anything too drastically different. Just something good like original era.
Yeah. And also, Chico said, Jay, do you have it, bro? Is our PR officer of Rug Pull, which Jay is also in the chat, Jay. So if you would like to hop on here on the podcast and kind of speak, I mean, we don't have to make it like something controversial. You could just hop on the podcast, introduce yourself, introduce like Rug Pull, what Rug Pull's goals are, what kind of like give us like a description of how that alliance, that Giga alliance was like formed. And just put your intentions out there as well. So yeah, I mean, yeah, like having the PR officer of Rug Pull is probably like the best person to have here, because PR is PR. So
Always good to have an officer.
Yep. Exactly. So, feel free. No pressure if you don't want to. Oh yes. Okay. Chico's from the Rug Pull's officer. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Just give them our Discord. Discord.gg/dynastygg. There you go. And we would love to have them on here right now. So onto the subject of 3-to-1 classes. Which I think I kind of know already, but which one of these classes are you looking forward to the most? It doesn't have to be just one. You could name like a few, and probably why like you're looking forward to them.
Well, Archbishop, obviously, because they play priest.
Priest, yeah. And it's a lot of people don't know this, but Thai is actually the holder of one of the few doppelganger cards in NA.
Oh,
so it's I've told you before, where it's like yeah, keep it, because like eventually they'll have like the third jobs, and once once the third jobs are out, that means like you can have like duple light, all that. You can have like the best like combat battle priest spec when that happens. And we were like, yeah, it's probably not gonna happen in 2 years, and you were kind of right, actually. Yeah, you're kind of right. It looks like it's going to be about 2 years before these these classes get released, with Ranger
Right.
being the only one in Korea right now. So
Wow.
yeah. So besides Battle Priest, which one do you aesthetically? Because I know you have like a way better eye than me when it comes to aesthetics, because you know you are an artist and I'm just I'm just an appreciator of arts.
Aesthetically, I always liked the mechanic design.
Mechanic. Wait, let me just zoom into that. See if I can actually. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So why the mechanic?
I just like how the design is very, I don't know, it makes me think of like a mech.
Yeah.
Very
True.
appropriate for being a mechanic.
Yeah. And the female one actually kind of does it. She kind of remind you a little bit like with the hair and like the jacket kind of. Doesn't it kind of remind you of like who's the mechanic in Final Fantasy 15 again? The one that
What? Cindy.
Cindy. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah. So Archbishop number 1, mechanic number 2.
Mm-hmm.
What about number 3?
Number 3. You know, it's not on here, but I would choose Wanderer, but
Wanderer.
it's not even on here yet.
Not yet. No, there are no 3-2 classes yet. But yeah, just from the sample that we have at the moment.
Probably Ranger.
A ranger. Oh.
Yeah. Cause like I always had this gripe with the warlock, cause it's like I always thought the high wizard sprite was so cute, and then I don't know, I was never a fan of the warlock sprite.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how to feel about the warlock sprite either, because I don't know. Actually, I mean, chances are, like, if we don't like the look, then we probably are just gonna wear the costumes that we like anyway.
Right.
But,
I mean, most people do.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it doesn't matter.
But it's like one of the there are like a few classes that I do feel like just their sprite alone. Like I could wear a costume just for the stats, but then I just like hide the costume. But like for me, oh man, for me, my top 3. What are my top 3?
Yes, I her top 3.
I feel like Guillotine Cross
Mm-hmm.
is probably like one of my probably like my top 1. Because like the way that this costume looks, when you see how it was translated into the game in RO1, like before they released it, and just after like a preview, like honestly, when I first saw like the Guillotine Cross like concept art, I was already kind of like iffy about it, because like I mean, it's hard to beat the Sin X one. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of people agree, like Sin X looks really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. But when I saw the concept art, I was a little iffy on it. But once it was released in game, it actually looked really good. Like the details were really good. So that's probably one of the reasons why, like, just from memory, that's that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most. Second one is actually same as your number 1, which is Archbishop. The colors, the style. It's just so good. Like I mean, just look at that. Like the colors are like really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually, like, again, it's one of those things where like when I saw it as the concept art, because like when you look at High Priest, like High Priest was also one of those classes that looks really good already. So when I saw when I first saw the concept art for Archbishop, I was like, I don't know, man, like High Priest like look really good, and this is like I was like, this is a bit of a side grade, and then you see it in game, and it looks amazing. The color, it really blends well with like the game in general. So that's probably my top 2. Top 3 is a bit hard, because I like mechanic too, and especially with the mech, which they don't show in here. Looks really good.
The mech.
Yeah. And but I would have to say like the Rune Knight is probably my number 3. And the reason why I probably choose Rune Knight is because I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy Tactics. And yeah, like when it comes to like the knights in Final Fantasy or like the main characters in Final Fantasy Tactics, you can kind of see these like like these back pieces that they're wearing right here. That is yeah, that is
Damn, boy.
really reminding me of of Final Fantasy Tactics, which is probably, yeah, even the hair color, man, it's just like the main characters and everything.
Oh
So,
yeah, true.
yeah.
The blonde.
Thanks Lord for
I
the
think for
$1.
I think for me, like I liked Lord Knight like so much, that design and the colors.
Yeah, that's
And then
true.
I think also because I'm not huge on like the more earthy tones for the Rune Knight.
Rune Knight, yeah.
Mhm.
See, I like the fact that you had those terms. Like, I don't even know those terms. Earthy tones, which is like more warm, I guess. Warm, like warm
Yeah,
color. Is
definitely
that what it
more
is?
like it's more like warm and a bit kind of muted. There's like a pop of color with like the red, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like the brown stands out a lot.
yeah,
But like compared to Lord Knight, like I liked the pop of colors with the bright blue and reds and gold.
yeah. Because I mean, I honestly, it's like suffering from success, right? Like,
Yeah,
the sprites for like the transcendent jobs were so well done that
yeah,
it's
definitely.
kind of hard to top it. It's kind.
Although, do you remember um the Japanese Ragnarok Online? They did redesigns of these.
Uh-huh.
Those were like way much better.
Yeah, they did. They did. I do remember that one, like the updated sprites they were
Mhm.
calling it, and
Yeah.
yeah, because I think it was done because there were so many when it first like actually like came out. There was so much complaint when it came to like their look, and people like it was so bad that people were actually asking if they could pay to have the sprites of the transcendent jobs back. Like, it was that bad. Like, people were beyond past the point of complaining, and they were actually like willing to pay money just to revert their look back to transcendent classes, which is crazy. And I do hope that we get that option in Rue. Because with the wardrobe option, I feel like it's
Yeah.
already like kind of the system's already there. So
Yeah.
we could have a classic skin or whatever,
Mhm.
and yeah, so these look really good. Can't wait to see them get translated into the game, and definitely cannot
Yeah,
wait,
definitely.
yeah, for 3-2 classes too, because
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of the Sura one.
Yeah, definitely. Because we did talk about this on a few, maybe it was the first or second episode, I forgot. But where they did mention like they were gonna bring in 2023 third classes. So, like the fact that we have like these sprites,
Mhm.
like designs, I'm really excited to see what they do with them, and
Yeah,
like when
yeah,
they'll release them.
yeah. So yeah, looking forward to it. I mean, March we already saw the release of Ranger. Like, no, now we're on to April. We probably can expect the release of another 3-1 job within the next couple of months maybe.
Mhm.
But it's going to be a while before we get to see these in global, but at the same time it's kind of good. I would like to see how the meta develops in the other regions,
Mhm.
and kind of figure it out so I know how to adjust our composition. Because the other thing that sucks too is that they're releasing these one by one in Korea. So
Mhm.
imagine you have a total of 12 jobs, but 6 of the 3-1 and 6 of the 3-2. So you have 12 jobs. This reminds me a lot of playing Black Desert Online. Because like just a quick like overview, like in Black Desert Online you had your base class, right? And eventually each class got like a awakening class, where at the time it was so good that awakening was actually like the upgrade. It was like the same thing as like a 3-1 job in RO, and they released it one at a time. And I had the wizard class, which actually got the last release of the awakening. So like for the next year plus, it didn't even release in the same year. It was like the next year. It was in the next year that we finally got our awakening, and for like a full year Plus, we had to suffer while everybody else was so OP and so broken that it was like man, like I'm really supposed to suffer. Like I actually stopped playing the game. I was like, you know what? I'll be back when my class is out. And you know,
This sounds awfully familiar to people en route.
So it's like, yeah, so it's like that. It's like, you know, but then again, the thing is, like, if you leave for a while and just come back when your class is out, that also means that, like, within that time that you're not there, you're far behind. You're
Yeah.
missing, yeah.
That is the unfortunate thing.
Yeah. And Chico said, well, it will be the last hurrah for some of us Exodiacs. I hope our officers will be joining you guys. Yeah, if they want to join the podcast, yeah, sure. 100%. So, bring them over. But, yeah, that's the thing about, like, the new update, which is, oh my god. So, let's see here. What other things did we see in the... Oh, yes. In the final CBT, they actually didn't release the cards. The card gacha? I don't think they released the card gacha at all. Yeah.
Wow.
So, one of my... Well, not for me, but, like, one of my fears for, like, people who want to roll cards in OBT, because quick explanation is you know, that it was like, how much were card was times 10 pulls in NA again? It was like
How much for what?
The times 10 advanced pulls in NA. 4,000.
Let me check. Yeah, 4,500.
4,500. In global, in CBT, it was 2,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 2,000 yen. And here's the thing. Here's the kicker. $100 in NA gets you 3,900 yen.
Yeah.
Which is not even enough for one pull. In global, $100 gets you 4,800. $2,000. 2,000 yen per pull means that you actually get 2 pulls for $100 and 800 yen left over. So there's a huge difference there. And so what that did for CBT was, if you pulled card gacha, advanced card gacha, there were actually a lot of instances, unless you were incredibly unlucky, there are a lot of instances where like the value that you get from the cards Zenny wise was actually better than buying Zenny with Nyans. So it's like, it's a triple threat. It's like, number one, good for Zenny. Number two, good. It's good for Zenny while giving you a chance to get a purple card. Number three, it's good chance to get a card, good chance to make Zenny, and at the same time, it's also like a really good source of just having a lot of card fragments that, you know, that would just ensure that you can get your other cards to 3-star, which is crazy. It's nuts. It's so good. And just going from, you know, $100-something for one times 10 pull to like 2 pulls plus 800 extra yen in global was such a sweet thing. And I hope that they don't revert that or change it. Yeah, because here's the thing. Yes, whales will have 3 stars faster. They're going to anyway. But what that does now in terms of like the dynamic of card selling, there will be a lot less, or there will be a lot more like there will be abundance in cards in the market that free to play can buy in the market. So not only do they have a little bit more power when it comes to like all these like guild events, but number two as well, like besides all the PvP stuff, it's like the PvE stuff too, right? It's like if you have like if you're free to play and you can eventually just like work your way into getting like a 3-star like Wraith or something, you know, like you have all that free magic damage that benefits you in MVPs, that benefits you in PvE, in your grinding. So it's just overall good. It's good for whales, yes, but they're going to get it anyway. It's good for free to play, and removing that would be actually make it worse off for free to play, because then they'll have less access to cards. Whereas like whales will just whale anyway and just get the cards that they need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, and well, yeah. So I think it's good. I think we can actually start taking questions now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So Bayaga said, question: I want to play Sage, but unlucky there is no Sage class in OBT. Should I play Wiz when changed class so the two equipments are ready, or is it okay to play Hunter later on, then later on change class to Sage? What's your answer to that one, Thai?
I personally would go for Wizard because Wizard levels pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll also be in the same same magic class, so your gear won't change too much, or specifically like your cards you would need because you're staying within like the mage class.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you want to save to change to Sage later, I would go with Wizard.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly what I said, absolutely right. And the other thing too is your medals. If you go
Yes.
sniper and you go like physical medals, and then you transfer over to Sage, you're gonna end up spending more. But then again, if you are playing Sage, you're probably a whale, right? Because like no, if you're not a whale, I do not recommend playing Sage because you will notice such a huge drop in damage. But yeah, if you're a whale, you probably don't care about that anyway. You'll probably just like pay for it and do the switch. It's called like a war medal.
I think even like for free to play, Sage is so good because when I was like doing PvP after Sage came out, like a lot of them can still like be big nuances to you and you and etc. Even if they're like free to play and they can't like one shot you, it does get really like annoying.
Yeah, yeah.
So still good as free to play in my opinion. But definitely Wizard has that AoE.
Yeah, yeah. You just won't be, as long as you don't expect to be as impactful as a wizard with while being like free to play, then it's not a big deal, because like it's just so hard to like move away from wizard when you have a skill that ignores magic defense, which is like an anti-whale mechanic, kind of. Yeah. Then you go over to Sage where you don't have that, and then all of a sudden you're noticing like, okay, why is my like damage scaling not as high as before? That's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sage is also like single target.
Yeah. And Nonium asked, do you know how much those MVP cards cost that you get from Guild Expedition? It's how much is it again? Like the base bidding price? Is it like?
Actually, don't remember.
Yeah, I actually don't remember either. It's like 4,000 something yuan?
Yeah, it's like something high up there.
Yeah. And then like the auto buy is like 10k yuans or something like that. I forgot. But
Yeah,
something like that.
like
Yeah.
that.
And the angeling timer thing that we mentioned, do we need to go to the map to see it? Yes, because imagine if you don't need to go to the map to see it, and you just have like a bunch of
on the screen.
you just have a bunch of FPV timers on your screen, and yeah, that would suck. And yeah, Romir asked, do we have life skills?
Like the cooking and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the only life skills right? Yeah, cooking and elixir making, potion making.
Yeah.
And Bayaga said, I think Sage is more free to play than Sniper. Thing about them is that they're kind of like in the same boat, where even if you're free to play, you'll have your uses, but you're not gonna. It takes a lot of investment to make both classes like work. Even though Sage does scale better than Sniper, but like as opposed to if you kind of like measure it between like those two classes and versus like a wizard, and they're all free to play. Wizard just kind of takes the cake, like easy, right? Same thing with like champ. All right, because you have to remember, Sage doesn't have safety wall. The Sage doesn't have access to safety wall.
That's true.
You have a lot less counters, one should say. Yeah. More. I'm alright with a bunch of MVP timers on my screen. Probably not, because the UI is already pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty busy.
Yeah, pretty
as it is.
busy. It's like you have to realize, if I don't close this and I just open all these right here, right? They open all this right here, right? I have all this. Hey, okay, let me close that down, and boom, there you go. It's so filled. Like, where else? Like, where are you gonna fit all the MVP timers? like here, if if I show you the MVP timer, like from earlier, imagine like, let's not even make it like a crazy number, right? Like, imagine you have like 5 of these things. Let me try to reduce it as much as I can here. Yeah. Imagine like you have just like 5 of these things like lined up here. Or like up here. Right? It's like this is your screen left. This is all that's left of your screen. Yeah, that's it's a bit of a. Is the max job level for both first job and second job only 40? Yes. It is not like RO1 where you have to get to 50.
I see the question. FS Priest versus Bard late game pros and cons. I will say Priests have kind of an upper hand because they have Safety Wall and Numa.
Safety Wall and Numa are going to be very crucial, yeah. Especially against Wales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sato asked, do people play Rue on tablet?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I play on my iPad Pro.
Ooh, okay. How is that compared to, like, have you tried PC as well?
Yeah, so Rue plays really good on my iPad Pro. But playing on the PC client, it was like, even though it's pretty smooth on my Pro, it was a lot smoother on PC.
Yeah. But it was like when you were playing on the iPad, was it like how was the experience in general, like you like versus like a phone maybe?
I know a lot of people, like, I remember people commenting on like me using the iPad because it's like so huge compared to a phone, but it's actually pretty manageable. And then also like you can see a lot more on the screen.
Yeah. Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's like pretty similar to PC Life, but you can, touchscreen.
Yeah. Somebody asked if I thought we do not have iOS for global. That was for CBT. And Kevin asked, I am in the middle to choose Bard, Rogue, Whitesmith. Can you give me insight what each job do their best at? And please give recommendation. How much is your budget? Okay, so here's the thing. Whitesmith, or Mastersmith, however you want to call it, is the problem with it is it's melee. And the thing about it is, it's like once the meta becomes like range burst meta, it's hard for Whitesmith to capitalize in like big GVGs, because usually when you jump in and you jump into like somebody who's already on top of a grab field, you might get exploded. Rogue is actually really good. Actually just came from a War of Imperium where there was like a rogue who was like just consistently CCing like the biggest whales on the enemy guild, and it was glorious to watch. Like, it just they have this charm skill that forces the other person to follow them. And so when they were doing that, it would force the whale to always be out of position. So all we had to do was when he was out of position, kill him and then push forward. And then what pushing forward does is it cuts the whale off from support, right? Because like nobody can res him if we're pushing forward. So all he could do was just respawn, and then his guild had to keep pushing forward to try to fight without him, which would just make fights like really easy. And then Bard with like a huge investment is incredible. Like, you just can't kill the guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard to kill a Bard that's like very well invested and playing support. And that's so yeah. Out of the three mid spender, I'd say I'd go with like rogue. Like high spender, I'd probably go with like bard. Is my recommendation. What about you, Thai?
I don't know much about the classes, so I feel like I can't say. I would say high spender would also be for whitesmith, though.
Yeah. High spender for whitesmith. Okay. What in your experience, like why would that be recommended?
I forgot the reason why exactly, but I did party with a few whitesmith, and they always would like compare or like complain if like their damage wasn't quite as good if they weren't like higher spenders, like compared to another whitesmith that was like plus 15 or 20 already, etc.
Yeah. Mastersmith is the best melee AoE DPS burst DPS in the game. But the caveat is your melee. So it's like unless you have like crazy HP like Jolly Bitch or something, who actually was the team that won the dimensional battles in NA. Then otherwise it's like really hard to survive after that. So yeah, that's also true. If you're gonna wail out, then make sure that you invest in your tankiness as well. And you might be able to answer this one, Thai. Does Bard and Dancer together have significance in events?
Oh, I do have a dancer, but I've never done any of the duo dances, but there are a few similar to classic RO.
Yeah.
The only one I've used was not in PvP, and it was the EXP one.
Oh, the rich man, Mr. Kim, whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
I've actually seen the thing is like I've actually seen bards macro marionette, like they macro marionette, and then just do it themselves, and they just like
I've seen that too.
Yeah, sad dancer noises in the corner when the bard is like able to do that. So, and then Ken's asked which stat is better to counter enemy magical damage aside from gravity field. High magic defense or high magic damage reduction? My answer to that would be a little bit of both, but probably if you had to choose a winner, high magic damage reduction, because high magic damage reduction is just percentage, right? It's like the thing is like the higher damage somebody does, the higher value it has, but at the same time you also need a baseline of magic defense to, mitigate quite a bit of that. Although, again, it also depends on who you're facing, because if it's a whale, like none of your magic damage reduction or magic defense is gonna matter. And if you're facing like gravity field or like a me priest with like plus 15, then none of it really ends up mattering in the end.
I would agree.
Yeah. Sion asked, how do you suggest leveling the cooking skills? Do you go hard on maxing out as soon as possible?
If you're a whale, I would say yes.
Yeah.
But if you're free to play,
no.
definitely take your time because it is expensive.
Yeah, it gets really expensive. Like you'll see it like, it's requesting you like 800k to level this or something.
Yeah.
And then
at a certain point when you have to upgrade it to where you can like combine foods, it asks for a lot of zenny. So
yeah.
Take your time.
I would say take your time. At the same time, it's like there's two things to it, because like number one is that like if you take your time, then you'll have more eating coins for other stuff. Number two is like if you rush it to level it, then if you do rush it to level it, then you better have the intent of selling elixirs and food as soon as possible, and making sure that you finish your fishing, your harvesting every day, make sure that you use all your stamina every day, and then all that extra like food and elixir that you make sure that you sell it back to the shop, because that way you can kind of like recuperate your investment as soon as possible, because it's going to take a while for you to get everything back. But if your plan is to go hard on it as soon as possible, then make it worth your while. Don't slack off on it. Don't just like level it and not min-max it. because otherwise you're just losing a lot of money because you're giving up stuff already
Yeah.
by
You're giving
by
up like
focusing on it.
money for refining and everything else by
Mm-hmm.
putting it all in there.
Yeah. MZ asks, if I'm playing as High Wizard first before moving to Champ, what level is it okay to transfer? Change right away at level 70 or push to 90 first as High Wiz? I already have like a solution to this in my mind, but I would like to hear your thoughts on that one.
Oh. Well, the first thing that popped in my mind was it depends if Champ even is like released by that time you're even like 70.
Yeah.
But it probably would be you would probably be around like 80 or 90 by that point.
Closer to 80 probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming they release it first, which they probably will. But if you're going Champ, oh boy. If you're going Champ, you want to stay High Wiz for as long as you can. Unless
Oh yes.
unless you have a friend who's willing to power level you. That's a High
Yeah.
Wiz or an ME priest, because Champ grinding is very bad. If you have the option to stay Wiz for as long as you can, stay with Wiz for as long as you can, because otherwise the difference in grinding speed, you probably will rethink your decision of becoming Champ, because like you're gonna experience like Champ grinding and they're gonna be like, why did I even go Champ? Like Wiz life was so much better. But if you have somebody who can grind for you and leech
Yeah,
you, then
someone who can leech.
yeah. Oh, this one, because I know you push you used to like push a lot in like War of Imperium Militae. So which skill of Wizard is better in like the PvP side? PvE, PvP, and WoW. Stormgust, Lord of Vermilion, or Meteor Storm. Also, is Quagmire useful in WoW?
With pushing, I remember a lot of like Stormgust is very useful.
Mm-hmm.
And the other skill a lot of wizards use was grab.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If you're High Wizard, unless you're like playing utility, because you're like free to play or something, and you already have your whales like taking care of the grab field part, then having Stormgust it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it can like be a good play.
Mm-hmm. Just having Quagmire in general is useful as well.
Yeah.
For all types of content. And when it comes to LOV and Meteor Storm, I did used to see them casting it because Lord of Vermilion, whatever, gives you blind. Meteor Storm gives you stun, so it's like a little bit better, but the damage that Gravity Field brings to the table is far surpasses all three of those. And for PvE, I mean, you just have to use the element that's appropriate to what you're grinding, right? Like if you're grinding Earth, you wouldn't use Stormgust, you'd use Meteor Storm. But yeah. And for the question about like guild and guild application, just go ahead and apply in discord.gg/dynastygg. Send in an application. We are beyond our roster for first and second guilds have been finalized though, so if you apply now, you will be automatically put into the third guild and wait for the second and first guild to level, and then you'll be transferred over. But yeah, any other questions in the chat? And I don't think we actually had I don't think we could actually have contact with the Exodiac or Rugpole guild leads or representatives, right? So it was a bit of a last minute thing, so that's fine. And maybe next time they'll take us up on that offer. So yeah. All right. So if that is all, then we can probably end the podcast here.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys again next Sunday. We have this Dynasty podcast every Sunday where we discuss certain topics related to Ragnarok Online Origin. or MMORPGs in general. And if you guys have any questions towards the end of the podcast, we usually take questions and we answer them. And yeah, if you have any questions regarding about the game, Nyans, all that, I already have the videos for that in my in my channel. So go ahead and check that out. How to spend your Nyans, what dailies to do, which class is good, all those generic questions. We already have those in the channel. So go ahead and peruse those as as much as you want, because those have been updated and made for with global in mind. Is asking, will you use a voice changer when you do the maid cosplay stream? Oh god. Yeah, you don't have faith? You think we'll lose? You think we'll lose the mana? You have that little faith in me? No, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll use a voice changer, make myself sound like, Obama or Donald Trump, just to make it a little bit more awkward for you guys. He said 1K viewer, remember? Oh, 1K viewer. Okay. So the 1K viewer average, by the way. 1K viewer average. So if we average 1K viewers, then yeah. Yes. I will still do that. I am a man of my word. And I'll be for sure doing that if that does happen, or when that does happen. Look forward to the teaching guide that I'm also going to be releasing soon. I will have that out probably by tomorrow. It is very good for your EXP, especially if you're a class that's falling behind in levels because you're not that good of a grinder, or you don't have anybody who's like leeching you. This is a very good way of catching you up in EXP towards your fellow guild members. Thai, would you like to close us out?
Sure. Thank you everyone for watching this week's Global stream. Podcast. Yeah, this is Thymine signing out.